Today we are going to start uh, with the graph, and here it is. So this is the graph which is under the page 9, point 21, in page 9, point 21, and this is the report here. This is the report of sugar opinion that was published in 25, 25th April 2018. It says the minimum price floor of sugarcane. It discusses the point. The governments often intervene in markets with the primary intention of maintaining a level playing field between different players in the market for various reasons, however, such as pressure from a lobby representing any all stakeholders. The government may intervene by setting a price floor that disturbs the free market dynamics in favor of an arrangement that may turn out to be harmful in protecting the interests of various stakeholders that constitute the particular economic cycle. In such a situation, all these stakeholders may extend to this. To explain this phenomena, the following figure may be explained. Now, this is the graph that is uh, used to explain their argument. They're saying why setting the minimum price, setting the price floor, that is, uh, setting 180 per 40 kg of sugarcane, or setting 172 per 40 kg of sugarcane in different years, why this is not sustainable, and how it disturbs the principles of economics and overall economy. So they try to explain it with this graph. Now let's just understand the graph first. Here, this is the price on the y-axis, vertical axis. Here it's the price, and here on the y-axis, x-axis, it's the quantity, bushels per year. Let's say they have picked this graph for explanation of wheat, right? They're trying to explain how the demand and supply and setting the price flow disturbs this whole in theory. But when we are going to discuss further in practical what is happening in the mills and what is actually happening over there in terms of quantity, pricing, and the profits and all, it's not the same. So let us understand this graph here. It says the graph shows this is the as we have just now discussed, this is the on y-axis. This is the price per bushel, and these are the bushels. Bushels are for wheat. So just considering the example of wheat, and here it says these. This is the supply uh, line, which is moving upward, and this is the demand line in red, which is going down. Now, what does this mean? It says here, if we write down the quantities, right? If we say this is the 3, and we say this is the 4 here in the middle, and we say this is the 5 here, and here this is the 3, and here this is the 4. Just don't mind my scribbling like this. So it says, now when we try to understand the quantities, let's say it says 1 over here, it says 2 over here, and then 3, 4, 5 quantities of bushels, and these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here's, let's say it's a 5. It's the price of bushel. So if we try to understand, when the when this line moves down, demand is moving down, and here the numbers are increasing. So this is the quantity of bushels wheat that is increasing. When the quantity increases, demand decreases. This is the principle of economics. And here, when the supply is increasing, it's going from down to up of the quantities. Let's say there's more quantity, then the supply is there is more supply of quantities, right? And then when you add this on vertical axis, when you add this phenomena of y on y axis, you get the prices here. if I explain this in Urdu for better understanding to those, let's say if I'm the one trying to understand it, uh, I'll say कि यहाँ पे हमने सारा प्राइस के नंबर्स मेंशन किए, यहाँ पे हमने क्वांटिटीज़ मेंशन की, कितना क्वांटिटीज़ था बुशल्स का। तो जब क्वांटिटी ज़्यादा होता है तो सप्लाई ज़्यादा है। इट मीन्स जब आपके पास क्वांटिटी, व्हेन यू हैव मोर क्वांटिटी, जब कोई चीज़ आपके पास ज़्यादा होती है तो दैट मीन्स यू कैन सप्लाई इट मोर। और जब सप्लाई ज़्यादा होती है, किसी चीज़ की अवेलेबिलिटी ज़्यादा होती है, तो उसका डिमांड अल्टीमेटली रिड्यूस हो जाता है। सो द सेम गोज़ फॉर द सप्लाई। अगर क्वांटिटी कम है, so we were discussing the supply over here. So let's say अगर क्वांटिटी कम है बुशल्स की, एक या दो क्वांटिटी है, तो उसका सप्लाई भी कम होगा। जब कोई चीज़ कम है दैट मीन्स क्वांटिटी में कम है तो उसकी सप्लाई भी कम होगी। दैट मीन्स when something is less in quantity it's going to be less in the supply। when there is, मतलब अगर लिमिटेड ही कोई चीज़ अवेलेबल है तो उतनी ही सप्लाई हो सकती है, ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकती। दैट मीन्स when something is less the supply is more। uh, when something is less supply is less। so उसका जो demand है, here you see, if you blue line here, if at quantity 2 the demand increases, this is this line here, if you see, this is the difference, ये this is the difference, this is the increase in demand। Similarly when the quantity is decreasing the demand is decreasing because supply is there, quantity available है, तो जो demand है वो कम हो रही है। क्योंकि अगर 5 टोटल 5 लोग हैं तो 5 लोगों को वो 5 मिल रही है, इट मीन्स डिमांड इज डिक्रीजिंग। बट if say there are 5 people here and there are only 3 available, so demand is more, demand। So this is just to understand how the demand and supply curves works। So if you say, so let me just remove it here, I'll just remove these lines। So ये दिस वुड बी सफिशिएंट फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि इतनी क्वांटिटी पे, इतना कम क्वांटिटी पे ज़्यादा डिमांड होता है, ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी पे डिमांड डिक्रीज हो जाता है। सो द पॉइंट वेयर द मीट सप्लाई एंड डिमांड, जितना डिमांड है उतना ही सप्लाई होगा, तो दैट मीन्स दैट इज़ अ परफेक्ट सिचुएशन। उस परफेक्ट सिचुएशन में दैट इज कॉल्ड प्राइस इक्विलिब्रियम। जितना डिमांड है उतना ही क्वांटिटी अवेलेबल है। सो लेट्स से 4 का डिमांड है और 4 ही क्वांटिटी अवेलेबल है। सो दिस वन हेयर इज़ योर परफेक्ट पॉइंट, कि जितना रिक्वायरमेंट है मार्केट में उतना ही आपने प्रोड्यूस किया, उतना ही सेल किया, ना के एक्सेस ना के लेस। सो दिस इज ऑल्सो कम्स इन टू द लीन process management where they try to be perfect to achieve that perfect point where everything meets um, in perfect balance and harmony and does not exceed or decrease। Okay, starting again. So this is the price equilibrium where the quantity meets the price, exact quantity, requirement, and the exact supply and exact demand। So moving forward, now here the argument that they are saying, this is a price floor. So let me just uh, erase everything. This one is, so let me just erase this, right? And this is what, and this is what. So this is the price floor that they have set. Let me just choose from them. The price floor they have set PF. Now this, according to them, price floor is set here, which is uh, exceeding from this in this much length. That means from price equilibrium, the difference to the price floor is this. It means that there is excess of quantity being produced here when the supply is increasing. If you calculate the distance here, it means the quantity is more and the demand has decreased. So for this explanation, they have explained the graph here. If you see, they say the figure provided above depicts an example of government intervention in the form of an agricultural price floor (PF), that is PF here, uh, with regard to the sale of bushels of wheat. Now these are the bushels of wheat. The price floor determined by the government does not take into account the supply-demand dynamics that lead to an equilibrium price (PE). They are saying that this is a supply-demand dynamics and the price is PE, so it should be taken into consideration. Let's discuss this here. The principles of economics state that. Sorry for this. Let me select it again. The principles of economics dictate that with the price set at PF, the buyer will only be able and willing to purchase a quantity equal to W1. Now here in this case, it says okay, PF, even if PF is set here, price floor is set here, the buyer will only be able and willing to purchase a quantity equal to W1 here. So even if the government sets supplies, provincial government sets the price floor here at PF more than the price equilibrium, regardless of the making the price floor fixed here, the mills, the buyers in case here would be mills, they would only be able to purchase the quantity uh, that they are able and willing to purchase at W1, which is 3 quantity. Whereas at this price, the seller is inclined to produce a quantity that equates to W2. But they're saying okay, when the price, now they're saying that with the price, if it's set at PF, they're, let's say farmers are encouraged to produce more sugarcane by setting the increased price floors. That let's say if there is a farmer and now, being a country, we have to encourage a farmer to produce sugarcane, to grow sugarcane, cultivate it more. So, what the governments everywhere they do, they try to strategize how to encourage different segments of the society. So here in this case, in the goodwill of the and for the good wishes of the country, for doing good to the country, they set the price of at PF, which is more, to encourage farmers to produce more. Now, at this price, the farmers are producing more quantity, let's say 5, and that equates to W2. So, farmers are producing 5 quantity of bushels, let's say, of sugarcane, let's assuming it's sugarcane at W2, while the mills are able to only and willing, like they can, there are two things, willingness and being able to buy. Okay, you have enough money and your willingness. So mills are able to purchase, have the ability to purchase, and the willingness is at 3. So even if the price floor is set at this, mills can only only purchase this much quantity of sugarcane, while the at this price floor, the sellers means farmers they are able to produce this much quantity of cane, which is in excess. So here, when you minus 5 from 3, the difference is 1. That means this is the extra quantity produced by the farmers that mills are not willing to purchase because they would have to make the sugar of it as well. Uh, and once they make the sugar of it out of that quantity, additional quantity of cane, so there's going to be a lot of sugar in the market. Once they have a lot of sugar market and there's no demand in the market, so they are not going to get the price for it. So when they are not going to get paid from the brokers or the wholesalers, and they have to sell it in the reduced amounts to the brokers in the further supply chain to wholesale retail, and which ultimately gets sold to the consumer. So that would be lost to the mills because they have purchased from farmers at this price, while they are getting uh, while they are producing more sugar and they are getting less price in return. So here this phenomena explains So here this phenomena explains that mills are bearing losses as per the theory in regards to the sugarcane. But when we have the more knowledge of literature, we also know that this may be appearing to them so in the sugar case, in the case of sugar. But when they are crushing the sugarcane, they are also, having generating profits from various products that are coming out of sugarcane. Let's say from molasses, if they are processing for it, from the jaggery, the syrup that is also sold. So it's just not sugar they are making. There are various other products that they are also making and gaining profits from it. And when the quantities are in huge amounts, uh, we usually measure the sugar produced quantity in terms of million metric tons. When we multiply it, it become in kgs per thousand. It becomes in millions and millions of sugar per kg. So, and even if certain pasas are increased on every price of the kg, it makes the amounts additional amount in a lot of huge amount. So that we are going to discuss further. Okay, how I understand, I came to understand this, and what is at the base of my understanding. So, well, in theory, it explains so. There are also problems with the mills as well, that they have to sometimes, when there's excess of sugar, they have to sell at low prices. So that is real, but may not directly be linked to the production of sugar. And also there are a lot of options as well, such as they when the sugar is in access, and if the government allow, they can export it. But that is also another problem. When the sugar is in access, there are some factors which may lead governments, provincial governments, not allow the exports. They have their own reasons that I have not studied yet. So that is that. And now, the likely outcome of any such situation is that a buyer would be unwilling to buy the total quantity produced by the seller. Here buyer is the mills, and the seller W2 produced quantity is by the farmer. Or if it does buy anything more than W1, if mills buy anything more than quantity of 3, it will be inclined to do so at a price less than PF. So if they buy anything more than quantity 3, they are going to do so at a price which is less than price flooring. So how does this work? Let me see. So if it means, so they can purchase this much of quantity of sugarcane at this price floor. But when they have to purchase the more sugarcane quantity, let's say 4 or 5 quantity, so they can do so, but at the less price. They cannot do so at the price. So this is the theoretical limitation. In practical, there are so many other factors, and sometimes when the application is applied, it differs. So let's see where how I understood it, and when I read it first, and how I commented on it. Hi, so we were here on this sheet here, and now we are coming here on this sheet to see how I commented when I understood it at first. So here I did the some explanation that we have discussed in on the main sheet of the report as well. So how I thought of one of the solution after reading it. So let's just read it. It says, with this, it appears they are trying to explain the phenomenon of setting price floor and how it is affecting the economic cycle, which also translates into that mills are making more sugar at same price and keeping extra of that in storage. Now, this could be one of the explanations that when they have to purchase more, let's say, even if at this quantity they are buying, they are making more sugar at the same price and keeping of that in extra storage. So if they have to purchase more of all the produced by the sellers at W2, they may have to do that with the less price, price which is less than the price floor. So perhaps this could also be one of the suggestions being given by the opinion, by the writer of the opinion writing report of this sugar, which they may be trying to hint at that if the market demand is less and mills are able to buy less than the produced by the seller, then they should be allowed something to buy uh, which is in excess produced, which is in excess of demand. So they are made to buy that in uh, less prices than the price floor. Perhaps that could be one of the indication and intention of quoting all this paragraph. So let's move ahead. And it says, and when the excess happens, they sell that at low price. So when even if they are producing at this and there is more sugar storage, uh, and they are producing more sugar even if at this quantity of sugar cane, they are keeping that in excess storage, and then ultimately they have to sell it in low price. But in actual, the problems are stating that mills are not able to produce enough sugar from cane and are bearing losses. Yeah, this till here we have talked all theory, trying to understand, make hypothesis of it, what could be, what would have been. But when you read the reports, it says that mills are not able to produce enough sugar from the sugar cane and bearing losses. Now, what does that mean? Farmer has cultivated the sugar, sold it to the mill in the quantities, but then when mills are trying to make sugar from the sugar cane, they are not producing enough sugar, which means uh, the quality of cane is not sufficient. Let's say even if the variety of cane is 100%, which is going to give the sucrose content, enough sucrose content to produce enough sugar, but perhaps during the supply chain, during the transport from farmers to the mills, the cane is a perishable commodity and tends to dry. So perhaps this could be the problem, that it dries up because it dries faster, and when they try to produce sugar from the sucrose content within this better sugar, even in the better sugarcane variety, so they tend to produce less sugar, and that makes, because they're producing less, making the payment same. Farmers are producing the good quality, but when it's ultimately they're producing less and going to the market, the their income from sugar is not sufficient. That is one of the claims from uh, mills, that they are, as per my understanding. So that was my understanding. Now, what happens is, I understood it when I read the graph. I had an understanding and I wrote it. S- That that could be, and when I read more, I had a different. So it happens when you try to. As you try to gain more knowledge, you try to make additions to your existing knowledge and try to create different opinions with the time, with the addition of the knowledge. So when I tried to understand the graph, when I drafted this comment, so I wrote, but in actual, the problems are stating that mills are not able to produce enough sugar from cane and are bearing losses, and that I have explained just now in the previous cut video session. Uh, so also, for the point is, in theory, when we try to draft a theory based on some principles, it tends to vary when we try to apply it on the application, because during the time of applications, everything is real, it's pragmatic, and when you there are different factors involved, so your theory tends to change based on what happens in reality. You have theory, you tend to apply it on practical, to do the practical implementation, and when you find and in practical it is more than that, then your theory tends to a bit more change. So that could also be the case here. All losses because government has mandated them to give certain price per kg of sugarcane to farmers. So this they are stating that one of the reasons that they are bearing losses, because the price floor is set and they have to give certain amount of prices to the farmers, regardless of what quantity of sugar the sugarcane is producing. And they do that sometimes, showing losses in the form that they are not making enough sugar, and paying more to farmers, bearing loss on their own. So that uh, we have just discussed. It appears one of the solutions for this problem of misunderstanding could be the installation of specialized digital machines with main machines that give estimate then and there of total recovery of sugar from sugarcane crushing, plug that data through API to government departments of agriculture and food to monitor the progress in real time, enabling government to smooth out any problems in sugar production uh, and supply as well. Now this explains here and one of the solutions that I came at that time when I read it. So I thought perhaps this could be about misunderstanding of the whole problem and scenario, and then to find the fact solutions based on the actual facts. So what one can do, perhaps do a one-time research for some duration that tends to measure what is the quality and the quantity of sucroses when the farmers produce the sugar, what is the quantity and quality and the sucrose content when they supply it ultimately to the mills purchasing points, and then what is the quantity and quality of sugar ultimately when they are at the stage of crushing the cane. So, when you determine these at 3 points for a year or two, you may have sufficient data to analyze it and for future set the price floors exactly at the same price, taking into consideration the interest of all parties, farmers, mills, the not supplier broker, just um, uh, taking profits from it as a merchandising business, purchasing and then selling it at some with some additional. So I think it's for the farmers and the mills mainly, so that their interests could be taken into consideration and uh, so that they don't feel that they are not considered and they have to bear the losses and all. So this was one of the solution that I have wrote this here as well. I think this solution needs to be worked on better since I'm still in the research mode. Perhaps something better comes up with more data analysis. So this is the same that I tend to remind myself as well. We we tend to form opinions based on available information. When the new information comes, and that is a valid, reliable, sustainable, robust information, when we add that to our existing knowledge, our the existing knowledge tends to change a bit or not, perhaps. So when it changes, you try to change your decision and try to make better decision considering the situation at that time, at that point in time. So it was all, and I'm going to read the notes here just to see if we have covered it all for today. So let me read the point number one. Uh, it says one of the arguments setting price floor disturbs the free market dynamics. That was in the report, and then the counter argument was perhaps the government in different with their different policies and procedures try to imply that is to their the counter argument is to protect the interest of farmers as well, to pay them enough to encourage the growth of sugarcane. Now that any government anywhere would in the world would perhaps apply the same strategy, in my opinion. When quantity is more, demand. Now this is the economics principle, the fundamental principle. When quantity is more, demand decreases. When quantity is more, supply increases. And they both, when the demand and quantity is uh, just sufficient, the supply is maintained. So these are the economics principle. Example, price equilibrium at PKR3, buyers can buy, that means mills can buy for in quantity. It is where supply meets demand exactly. So that we have discussed when we discussed the P price equilibrium uh, from the report. If at this price equilibrium, uh, if buyers can uh, buy four in quantity. This is the four in quantity and three in price. So and at here the supply meets exactly the demand. And then example PF at PKR4 price pri- price flow which is price 4. Buyer can buy 3 in quantity, this mills can buy 3, while seller can produce 5. This is a farmer producing 5, generating excess of 1, that is 1 bushel more with this price flooring. Because they are encouraged to produce more, giving them more prices to for the sugar cane, so they produce more. But in actual, excess quantity of sugarcane means selling at low price. So when the sugarcane is more, the mills are going to produce more sugar, and if the demand is not there, they have to sell it at low price. At low price, so at least it gets sales. One of the options could be identifying the countries for export and exporting it. So this could be beneficial for mills, but then I don't know. I'm still studying how the most beneficial way export can be done for the excess amount. Not that we export it and it becomes short here. But in actual, it's the reverse happening, that they are not able to produce enough sugar and bearing losses. Perhaps they produce buying in quantity and not producing enough sugar from the sugarcane quantity, from the sugarcane. Uh, Enough quantity of sugar from sugarcane. Perhaps the variety is better even, but it gets dries up in the middle, so we don't know yet. I'm yet to study this more. Here I think the reason could possibly be the variety of cane, or despite being good quality, its ability to not sustain the enough quantity of sucrose for long. That we have also discussed. Thank you. So in next, I might uh, read something from this graph, perhaps in the next, this graph that we are going to do, and perhaps this solution, and then we are going to go to further details, this that I have drafted this. So I'm going to format it a bit, and how I came here. So this is a part of my exploratory research. Thank you.